Welcome to the 2021 GroVid season. It's early February when I get the seed starter ready and moistened up. It takes about a week or so before you start seeing the tomatoes germinate. Same time, about a week or so for the peppers to germinate. I've got grow lights and I've got heat going. Within 2 or 3 weeks, you start to see a couple of inches of growth on the tomatoes and peppers. Eventually, the seed starts need to get used to sunlight, and we start hardening them off to outdoor temperatures and the winds. We're getting ready to go outside, but first, we gotta wait for the snows to go away. Raspberries are starting to see some green buds on them, and so are the potato plants. Peas are starting to show, and the onions, chives first. As I mentioned, potatoes, I've spaced the plantings about a month or so apart. Take a quick look. The grow bags are starting to get set up. This is only half, and then you start to see a few more plants as they start getting transplanted out. The lettuces in the early spring are doing well because of the cold temps. You can see things starting to come along, and maybe a little higher up view. Give you a better look. And it's time for the first raspberry harvest. The first peas, those are the early plants we see. Peas, the cold snap really does well. And my first onion. It was a little small, but I actually wanted some greens for the salad that I was doing. Tomatoes are really starting to come in now. You see the growth on almost all of them, and then the peppers you can see. And the potatoes, now about 6 weeks in, you really see the greens. Somewhere along the way, starting to see my first potatoes and that first potato harvest. I planted potatoes about 6 weeks apart so I could get different harvests. And don't forget, I mentioned that it was cold, so the lettuce really does well in the cold. It's a cold weather crop. Sometime by end of May, early June, I was starting to see about a bowl of raspberries every single day, which turned out to be really cool. A really good harvest of raspberries this year. I started seeing some early banana peppers and purple peppers, as well as a few daily bits of onion, and the second potato harvest. Again, 6 weeks later, I got my potatoes. Peas were good, and some tomatoes daily. Couple of zucchini became coming in, the Calabrese zucchini first. The golden white cherries were great this year. Typical daily harvest, a few peppers and a bunch of tomatoes. And the short sweet carrot came in finally. I could start picking them. It was a really good season overall. These golden tomatoes, the yellows, were amazing tasting. The black tula made some awesome sauces. It really turned out to be a good season this year for me. I was really happy. I've picked out a few that I'm definitely going to redo, especially the golden yellow and the black tula. Those cherry tomatoes are definitely going to happen again. I have to rethink the zucchini, maybe change up how I did my nutrition on them. Definitely going to keep going with the salads and the carrots. The arugula came in nice. I have to work on planting more romaine, though, and probably putting more zucchini in. Overall, though, very, very pleased with this harvest and this group that I had. 4th of August, 2021 was our peak harvest. It really was a very abundant day. Some zucchini, some pepper, just 6 or 7 different varieties of the tomato, banana peppers, hot sweet, and the yellow cherry tomatoes. Daily about a pint or so. A black tula and black seaman tomatoes were coming in daily. Made for great, excellent sauces. Carrots started coming in daily now. Including some of them that were a little funky when they get bound up in their roots. Yellow, purple, white carrots. Some amazing lettuces, big-headed romaine, some red romaine, some arugula growing in daily. Some shots from the drone. You can really start to see how the tomatoes are grown over the top of the archway. Tons and tons of produce coming in daily. Peppers, purple pepper, banana pepper, 4 or 5 different varieties of the tomatoes are coming in, including the beginnings of the San Marzano, which come in a little later than the cherry tomatoes. A couple of small little weird squashes coming in. But again, start to see those San Marzano, which really make for an excellent tomato sauce. And daily, of course, at least a pint of those white cherry tomatoes. Got a couple of spaghetti squashes, and again, don't forget all those raspberries coming in daily. A bowl, and then a baggie, maybe about a quart went into the freezer each day. Pulling in daily carrots. Our daily salad was coming in. It was a pretty decent haul every day for fruits and vegetables. We were basically living off of all the veggies. No store-bought. At this point, now we're starting to see squashes and zucchinis and cucumbers are coming in, which is great. They took a little longer, and I'm going to have to look at that and see whether I need to start my seeds a little earlier. Again, happy with my daily haul of tomatoes, the San Marzanos. Looking at the overhead shots again, it's really starting to very, very, very lush and green. And then daily hauls of the black tula and black seaman. Raspberries are going in the freezer every day. We can't keep up with eating them, so that just means more for when I make the jellies and jams. Again, tomatoes are still flowing in, and the San Marzanos are really starting to ripen up. At this point, I started hauling in the red onion, the red bunching onion, as well as the daily tomatoes. The red bunching onion is great. I ended up dehydrating a lot of the greens from that. Carrots, herbs are starting to come in full, and daily raspberries. And you'll see later on that it ended up becoming a really nice haul for our jelly making in the fall. The key to what I was pulling in between my herbs, the different tomato blends and varieties, and onions and whatnot, was I was ending up with some really decent salads and some awesome tomato sauces. See here, I'm starting over again with the salad, the different lettuces and greens. That ended up so that I could rotate the crops around and get some new plantings, new harvests. Really very pleased overall. I'm going to make my lists and double check, but the varieties that I picked seem to do really well. I attribute that to nice watering schedule, and also the 1/3 compost, 1/3 seed starter soil, and 1/3 soil from my compost piles. That really helped out. My compost piles, I'd be mixing in peat and whatnot. As you see here, the hauls are starting to get, or the harvests are starting to get less and less. Still getting the raspberries in the late fall. That's nice. We're still having enough that we can eat. And some of the peppers took forever to come in, the green bell pepper. But for the most part, very pleased. I might change a couple of different varieties that I got. Again, the cukes are coming in steady. I'd say overall, very, very pleased with what I had. This is some of the last of the really decent harvests. And again, as we get into the cooler weather in the fall, you'll get nice greens for your salads. At some point, we started to get into the tomatoes, the 4th planting of my potatoes. And peas. Again, fall, so we're getting good peas. Now, the onions is definitely something I'm going to switch up. Red bunching onion was great. I ended up dehydrating a lot of them. The carrots, I've planned to expand the number of pots that I'm putting those in the spring 2022. all good things must come to an end, and as I got to the later fall, I started emptying the grow bags and drying them, getting them ready for putting away for the winter. All in all, as you'll see, my harvests were pretty impressive. As I was mentioning, tons of pints, 16 jars of jellies, lots of onions, peppers, carrot, cucumbers. Here's the impressive part. Tons of pounds, just pounds and pounds and pounds of my tomatoes. Thanks, and looking forward to seeing you in 2022.